Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is Greg Young, and on behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you have joined us for our next live presentation from WonderFi. Please note you can submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view the company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Schedule Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Dean Skirka, President and Chief Executive Officer of WonderFi, which trades on the OTCQB venture market under the symbol WONDF and on the TSX under the symbol WNDR. Welcome back, Dean.
Hey guys, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me, and always great to come provide an update on the company. And we'll start with a bit of an industry update more broadly, as Bitcoin and digital assets have been capturing a lot of attention the last few weeks within the news cycles. It's great to be here on October 31st. On this day in 2008, the white paper for Bitcoin was first released to the public, and so the industry is celebrating today. And, there's a lot of headwinds really moving this industry in the right direction. Over the last few weeks, what's really captured attention is the relative increase in interest from the Bitcoin ETFs. By any measure you look at these products, these have been some of the most successful ETF launches ever. There have been over $20 billion of net inflows into the ETFs in the US. By comparison, gold ETFs, when launched in 2004, took about 5 years to reach that amount of assets inflowing into the products. We think that's a really strong sign of relative interest in the industry, and will continue to spur investment in the industry from BlackRock, Fidelity, other institutional household names. Further, we have interest rates starting to lower in September in the US. We think that a lowering rate environment 6-12 months out will be a really positive factor for digital assets, really for risk on assets more broadly. But certainly we're here today to talk about crypto. And I don't have to talk to you guys about the U.S. election. Obviously, everyone's well aware of what's coming next week. Certainly, there's been a lot of talk about crypto this cycle. We think that's a really strong signal for where the industry is heading. And we look forward to the outcome of that election and more favorable regulatory environment for digital assets on the other side. Now, with that said, let's jump into WonderFi. So as mentioned, WonderFi is traded on the TSX in Canada under the symbol WNDR, and on the OTCQB under the symbol WONDF. WonderFi is a parent company that owns and operates some leading brands across the digital asset ecosystem. Our two primary flagship brands are BitBuy and CoinSquare, which are two regulated crypto trading platforms based in the Canadian market. As we'll get into a bit later, WonderFi has built up its market-leading position in Canada by being acquisitive and acquiring 5 competitors in the Canadian market. Today, we offer one tech stack through 2 brands, BitBuy and CoinSquare, and have one of only 2 licenses in the country to offer spot trading of digital assets and staking as well. We also recently launched WonderFi Labs, which is designed to build on-chain decentralized applications. As the industry continues to evolve, the relative interest and access to decentralized platforms, whether it's wallets, layer 2 blockchains, or other, have become far more accessible than they were in the past. This is driving retail adoption, and WonderFi is really excited to be in a position to cater to both centralized and decentralized participants, creating a wholesome ecosystem all within the WonderFi umbrella. I touched on this a little bit earlier, but how did we get here? Obviously, WonderFi has been quite acquisitive, dating back to Q1 of 2022, when it acquired BitBuy, which at the time was one of Canada's largest crypto trading platforms. I joined the WonderFi family when it acquired BitBuy. I was the president and chief financial officer of BitBuy when it was acquired by WonderFi. I initially joined as head of exchanges with a plan to consolidate our competitors, and became the CEO of WonderFi 6 months thereafter. And as you can see, we have really focused on acquiring Canadian centralized crypto trading platforms to really reaffirm our position as the market leader in this country. Today, we estimate we have about 30-35% market share. And through the acquisition process, we have actually acquired many of our competitors, shrinking the competitive landscape in the Canadian market. Earlier this year, we announced an acquisition that would expand our footprint beyond the Canadian market and into Australia through an acquisition of a company called FXI Payments Institution Inc. Excuse me. That really opens the doors for our broader global go-to-market strategy, which I'll touch on in a few slides. We've really mastered the offering that we've developed in Canada, and we have a really strong tech offering and understanding of crypto compliance and the differences between various jurisdictions to be able to expand our presence meaningfully into new markets beginning in 2025. Touching on our technology here, at our core, we have really strong proprietary technology that powers the BitBuy and CoinSquare brands today. We offer 1,000 plus crypto trading pairs. We have over 1.7 million registered Canadians across retail and institutional accounts. We offer staking for over 10 assets. We offer real-time news and integrated charting to educate our users and to allow them to keep up with the very fast-moving digital asset industry. Lifetime, we have transacted over $18 billion of trading volumes. We understand this industry really well. We understand how to offer easy access, trusted and transparent access to the new digital asset industry. And as mentioned earlier, through our zero registrations, we are one of two platforms in the Canadian market that are regulated in the same manner that traditional financial service firms are. And so that provides our clients with a lot of trust and transparency. And when you couple that with the fact that we're publicly traded and have to publicize our financials, it really provides a wholesome experience around trust and transparency for our user base. Just in terms of what we've done more recently, as mentioned on the slide previously, we service over 1.7 million Canadian accounts today. Those Canadians hold over $1.35 billion of assets on our platform. And in the first half of this year, we transacted almost $2 billion, generating $30 million plus of revenues. The company is really starting to benefit from the economies of scale as we've integrated these acquisitions into a single tech stack offering. We have successfully completed over 8 acquisitions to build up the position we have today. And as mentioned a few times, we are obviously very much focused on regulatory compliance. We recognize that this is a new industry, a very new asset class, And in order to gain the trust of our users, we really have to lead with regulation and transparency. And so we're really excited to be one of the few regulated platforms in the Canadian market and to continue down that path in Australia with the AusTrack license that we acquired. And we're looking to further that through additional licenses to be able to offer additional products in the Australia and Asia Pacific region. As mentioned, this is very much a global industry, the crypto industry, but it is, I would say, built upon jurisdictional regulatory frameworks. Canada was very much a first mover with respect to regulating crypto trading platforms, and we have now seen other jurisdictions follow suit, very much like Australia. And so we are excited by the opportunity of beginning our international expansion efforts in Australia to be able to service Australia and the Asia Pacific region. When we acquired this entity in earlier this year, we really needed to build out a local team and the infrastructure to really support this growth. Really, when you think about it, the tech that we've developed, that proprietary technology that powers BitBuy and CoinSquare today, is fully ready to scale into new markets and expand our footprint. We needed to build out, compliance programs, cater to the Australia market. We needed a local team, as mentioned. But we are now live and running in Australia, building up our user base, and we expect over the coming quarters to really demonstrate how this expansion effort will become a more material element of our business. We launched with a really exciting partnership with Kogan.com, who's one of Australia's largest retailers, and we partnered with them to be able to expand our reach as we look to make an impact in that market. When we think about going global, we look for markets and jurisdictions that have clear regulatory clarity and have clear signs of adoption for digital assets. Australia was a really good example, and we are now in the process of exploring other jurisdictions that have similar characteristics that will allow us to bring our tech and our offering and our understanding of digital asset markets into new jurisdictions. We touched on WonderFi Labs at the top, and when we think about what's next with respect to the digital asset industry, we believe that you are going to see a really big shift towards decentralized applications. When you think about exchanges like BitBuy, CoinSquare, or Coinbase, these are centralized exchanges that allow users to take their dollars and convert them into crypto, and to take their crypto and to convert it back into dollars. What they're able to do with these assets is becoming more and more aware, it is increasing at a rapid rate. Decentralized exchanges, NFTs, on-chain gaming, on-chain leverage trading. There is a whole world developing that it really caters to a growing audience. We think that WonderFi, similar to what Coinbase has done with their wallet and layer 2, is in a really strong position to take the same ethos that's built up our centralized exchange offerings and bring them to the decentralized ecosystem. We can lead with trust and transparency. We have meaningful relationships with regulators to help them better understand how these products can coexist. And we also have embedded user base and assets. We think that will help scale our initial offerings meaningfully. And we're really excited about incubating WonderFi Labs and allowing our engineering and product teams to really innovate and be, leveraging some of the best of what we've developed, some of the best of what we've learned internally in building up our exchanges, and bring that to the decentralized ecosystem. And so where do we start? WonderFi is very much focused on building a layer 2 blockchain that will support all of the decentralized applications that we are looking to develop. WonderFi believes that an ecosystem built by exchanges really has the foundation needed for longevity and to bring the next wave of users into the cryptocurrency ecosystem. We think that there are the right incentive structures and the right resources for companies like ours to build a really meaningful product that will continue to onboard the next cohort of users, like I mentioned. For those users to interact on our layer 2 blockchain, they're going to need a wallet, an EVM compatible, non-custodial wallet that will connect to the WonderFi L2 and all of the other layer 2 blockchains that exist on Ethereum. This is a really exciting product for us. We expect to launch the wallet later this year and roll out the layer 2 in Q1 of next year. This will help position WonderFi as a global crypto player, both servicing centralized and decentralized ecosystems, and really how they come together is really what creates the big opportunity for us at WonderFi. Just quickly on layer 2, obviously Coinbase would be the most well-established layer 2. They launched their base platform earlier this summer. In terms of projected yearly revenues, I think as of late, it's been anticipated that they're going to drive about $45 million of revenue in the first year. Some of the other options out there, Arbitrum and Optimism, also driving meaningful revenues. We think that there is a large opportunity for us from a revenue perspective, but more so from a long-term perspective. When you think about how the centralized and decentralized platforms can coexist, we think that there is a really big opportunity for WonderFi to help grow the asset base from where it is today, being 1.35 billion, but also expand it meaningfully and contain it in a way which we provide our users more functionality within the WonderFi ecosystem to keep those assets within our platforms and to continue to utilize those assets on a more frequent basis. In terms of the wallet opportunity, the largest wallet would certainly be MetaMask. Their revenues in 2023 were 292 million, likely far exceeding that in 2024. They are the household name for Ethereum wallets. We think that we can do a really good job of bringing everything we know about product and development from a crypto-specific platform perspective, bringing it into the wallet arena, and to build a really compelling product. We're going to look to build out seamless connections from centralized crypto exchanges like ours and others right into our wallet. The wallet will be self-custodial, which means our users will hold their own keys and be able to manage the custody of the assets however they choose to. And we're going to be able to bridge the gap to Web3 for our over 1.7 million accounts. And so when you think about a user today that will buy Ethereum on our platform and withdraw it to a wallet that is not within our ecosystem, we're looking to have that step go within to the WonderFi wallet, and whereby it will be contained within our ecosystem, and we'll be able to watch those assets and help the users grow them. And then when it comes time to bring them back, it'll be a seamless bridge back to the centralized exchange. Cap structure. So we've been quite acquisitive, as we mentioned. We've acquired over 8 companies over the last 2.5 years. We did have some RSUs that were retired earlier this year, so now our RSU count is quite low. When you think about, warrants, apologies. When you think about the cap structure, obviously the company is in a really strong cash position, and so there's little to no impetus on us to raise additional capital. We have an ability to continue to acquire businesses. With the last 2 acquisitions we made, we're using cash, and so where in the past we've used issuance of stock for acquisitions, we have now shifted our focus on using the cash balances that we have. As you can see, 46.7 million of cash in crypto and $10 million of investments as of the last quarter, Q2, and daily average trading volume in the TSX well over 1.5 million shares traded a day. We have research coverage from H.C. Wainwright in the U.S., Haywood and A Capital in Canada, and we're continuously working on additional partners to help come and drive awareness for the story. We recognize within the U.S., we aren't as well known or well established as some of the larger publicly traded companies, and we're really looking to shift that message and narrative and really further expand our presence into the U.S. market. In terms of the leadership team, one of the benefits of acquiring 8 companies over the last 2.5 years is the ability to bring together some of the best of these platforms in the Canadian market and really build an unbelievably strong leadership team. We have leadership from BitBuy, from WonderFi with respect to our CTO. Gord Brocklehurst, our CFO, came from one of the acquisitions as well. Torstein and Andrew Park on compliance and information and security and technology bring significant experience from traditional financial services with respect to Torstein, and with Amazon and some of the largest financial service firms in the country with Andrew Park. Collectively, this team has the ability to bring our business forward into the future and really help grow WonderFi's presence in the Canadian market and beyond in 2025 and moving forward. When you think about WonderFi is strategically placed to capture both market and wallet share through ongoing innovation within the digital asset space. We've talked about the catalysts that have emerged this year that are being talked about now. And when we think about how that plays out over the next year or two, we really expect meaningful adoption and growth within this sector to continue. And WonderFi is incredibly well positioned to capture more market share across various channels. So with that, I really appreciate everyone taking the time. If anyone wants to reach out, they can contact us directly at invest@wonder.fi. And now I'll turn it to the Q&A section to answer a few questions that came in. Any plans for the U.S. market is the first question. And so when you think about what we mentioned about our international expansion plans, we're looking for markets that have clear regulatory environments for digital asset platforms like ours, and then adoption rates that clearly demonstrate, a jurisdiction, a group of individuals that are very much interested in digital assets. With respect to the U.S., we certainly believe that the residents of the U.S. are very well interested in the digital asset space. The regulatory environment has been less clear, and so we're monitoring that market very closely. Certainly, the election and the results thereafter can have a very big role. Trump has obviously come out and been proactively supportive of the digital asset ecosystem and embracing a framework that will help keep it in the U.S. and help grow the market in the U.S. And so that would obviously be an encouraging sign. Ultimately, when you think about the impact from this election, regardless of who wins, there have been meaningful lobby efforts on both sides of the aisle. Ultimately, we think that will lead to a more favorable and balanced environment for digital asset platforms in the U.S., regardless of who wins, but certainly paying close attention to the U.S. And when the time is right for us, we feel like we're in a really strong position to enter that market in a meaningful way. In terms of the treasury program, there's a question that's come in on the treasury program and on the impact on valuation. Well, look, we launched that treasury program where we decided to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum and put it on the balance sheet in Q2. Obviously, with respect to the Bitcoin, the current average price of the Bitcoin we've acquired is around 54,000, and so naturally, that looks good today. But more importantly, we are long-term believers in this asset class. We believe in the long-term value of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and others, and it's important for us to signal that to the broader market and our investors that we are really all in on this industry. We're not going to convert our entire balance sheet to digital assets, but when we believe there's a disconnect between the fundamentals and the price, we are certainly going to look to put more assets on the balance sheet. And when you think about Q2, there was so much excitement in the first quarter of this year on the Bitcoin ETF launches. Obviously, Bitcoin ran to all-time highs at around 73,000. We thought it was important, in Q2 when things consolidated a bit for us to add to our treasury balances. And when you think about some of the reasoning why, ultimately we believe that all of the fundamental reasons that pushed Bitcoin to all-time highs in March were relatively still in place. There was just a consolidation period where things had to sort of settle down. But when you look at all the underlying fundamentals, whether it's the ETFs and the inflows that continued in there, or some of the developments that are happening on Ethereum, we thought it was a really exciting time to add to our balance sheet. We believe in the asset class, like I mentioned, and when we see opportunities to continue to invest in the digital assets that we support, we'll look to do so. One of the next questions coming in is, what are your milestones and growth drivers for 2025? That's a great question. When we think about 2025, some of the core pillars for us in terms of growth are international expansion. And so really, in the first few quarters in 2025, it's going to become clear that the team we've put in place in Australia and the go-to-market strategy that we have for that region is going to drive value and is going to create a bigger narrative around WonderFi as this global platform. Furthermore, we're also focused on the WonderFi Labs rollout, launching the wallet, and launching the Layer 2 blockchain. That's really going to give us an end-to-end experience, providing an end-to-end experience for users in the digital asset ecosystem, starting with the centralized exchanges where they're able to come in and send their dollars from their bank accounts directly to our platforms to buy Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoin. And then from there, send it to our wallets to be able to interact on chain in many different ways, but within our ecosystem. And then when they look to bring some of those profits back into dollars in their bank accounts, the flow will reverse and they'll send their dollars back into their bank accounts through platforms like ours. And we think overall, when you think about WonderFi in 2025, it's going to be a global player in this industry that is servicing Canada, Australia, the Asia Pacific region through its centralized offerings, but really a global product with respect to its decentralized Layer 2 blockchain, non-custodial wallet, and decentralized applications that it's building now. In terms of what types of regulatory changes would you like to see and how does that impact WonderFi? Well, look, the industry is very, very young, in the grand scheme of things. We would obviously like regulation and regulators to move much quicker than they are, but we also recognize that they have to regulate all financial service industries and not just the digital asset one. But what type of changes would we like to see? Certainly a regulatory framework that exists for exchanges similar to the one in Canada in the US would be a really significant change for us. That would give us a clear path to launch in the US. And we think that represents a really large opportunity when the time's right for WonderFi shareholders. With respect to regulation in Canada, there's always room for improvement. And we think that, the next leg will be with respect to additional products and services. So in Canada, we got the license to trade spot digital assets. We followed that up with working hand in hand with regulators to be able to get licenses that are unique to the Canadian market to be able to stake your assets. What we're looking for next would be to continue to work with our regulators closely on margin and derivatives products within the Canadian market. We think that represents a meaningful opportunity for our platforms to grow our volumes and revenue profile significantly in the years ahead. And these are products that exist in global markets, albeit in an unregulated manner. So we're spending a lot of time with our regulators trying to educate them on what exists in a global sense and how we can provide that to Canadians, albeit while promoting innovation and protecting consumer protection. Cool. There's another question here. Can you speak on your experience, expansion goals, as well as what unique brand positioning is compared to the rest of the blockchain startups? Why is WonderFi the right investment for the future of blockchain? Well, look, I think we have developed some of the market-leading brands in the Canadian market with respect to BitBuy and CoinSquare. Those products have been in market for over 10 years and have provided very reliable, trusted, and transparent service to Canadians. We're now looking to take those brands and bring them into the Australia, Asia Pacific region, really building on what we've developed in Canada. In terms of the WonderFi Labs stuff and some of the work we're building on chain, there's no shortage of companies on chain that are raising capital from venture capital primarily, issuing tokens, and trying to leverage short-term incentives to drive user adoption. WonderFi has none of those short-term incentives. We want to build a sustainable ecosystem that will encourage developers to build on chain, our chain, and stay there and actually have the user base on a consistent basis to really maintain the viability of those products and services. Through our existing brands, BitBuy and CoinSquare, we are incredibly well positioned to bring everything we've developed here and into new markets. And at the same time, through WonderFi Labs, leverage our position as one of the largest crypto platforms in the world to build things the right way and do so in a sustainable manner that drives user adoption and developers to build on our chain. One last question. How are you working with foreign companies to deliver on your growth goals? Well, in terms of BitBuy APAC, we built that business up. We recruited a full team in Australia earlier this summer. They launched with their first trade in August. And really, how do we support them to grow? Obviously, all of the resources that we have internally get shared across the different regions. So when you think about the legal, the compliance, the marketing efforts, all of the resources and understandings and experience that we've developed over the last 10 years in the Canadian market get relayed into the Australia market. And so we get to take all of our learnings over the last 10 years and apply them to new markets. We think that will give us a really strong positioning within Australia over the next few quarters. We think that everything we've developed internally from a product perspective will allow us to have success in the region. Building a team that we have, boots on the ground, that have an understanding of these markets will also allow us to be successful in Australia. And we think that really sets the blueprint for us to go find other jurisdictions that we can grow into. The US is obviously the North Star. We're waiting for a clear and concise regulatory framework to develop there. But there are many markets in between that have clear regulation and have really strong adoption rates for digital assets. And we'll really be focused on expanding into those markets in 2025. Really appreciate the questions. If anyone ever wants to reach out to us, feel free to go to invest@wonder.fi. It's been great talking to you guys. It's a really exciting time in the industry. I would encourage everybody to look, take a hard look at what's happening. Anyone have any questions about the company in particular or the industry more broadly, feel free to reach out, and we're always happy to talk. Thank you to the OTCQB for having us here today, and